Invocation prayers, please.
Yes, Prabhuji. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjalashalakaya Satguru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhisham Sthavinam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katamayam Tatanti Shvapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yudapadakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajadam Sagagana Raghunantavitam Chajivam Satvaitam Savadudam Parijana Sakitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Krishna Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagagana Lalitam Sri Vidankam Vichamcha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shabanu Sude Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpagaru Vishya Kripa Sindho Ye Evacha Paditanam Papanesho Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Super excellent. A quick announcement that very high likelihood that for next couple of weeks, we will not have our classes for all the batches. So use the time to prepare for the presentations that are coming up. You have the unit presentation as well as the bigger presentation coming up. So use the time for that, as well as I will send Prabhupada lectures. So I will inform as soon as I come to know in terms of when the classes will get cancelled. So today we will cover Canto 3, Chapter 32, verses 27 to 43, as well as we'll aim to complete Chapter 33 also, and this Canto 3 today. Time permitting, towards the end, we will take some questions and realizations from before as well as from today. So we are on Chapter 32, Part 6, which is verses 27 to 31. Title is Lord Kapila Speaks on the Jnana. Shivangi, 27 translation and purport.
Hare Krishna. The influence of material nature cannot harm an enlightened soul, even though he engages in material activity.
Chapter 32, text 27.
Oh, sorry. The Supreme Personality of Godhead alone is complete transcendental knowledge.
You are still not at the right place.
32, verse number 26?
27.
Sorry. The greatest common understanding for all yogis is complete detachment from matter, which can be achieved by different kinds of yoga. Purport. There are three kinds of yoga, namely Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga. Devotees, jnanis, and yogis all try to get out of the material entanglement. The Gyanis try to detach their sensual activities from material entanglement. The Jnana Yogi thinks that matter is false and that Brahman is truth. Therefore, by cultivation of knowledge, he tries to detach the senses from material enjoyment. The Ashtanga Yogis also try to control the senses. The devotees, however, try to engage the senses in the service of the Lord. Therefore, it appears that the activities of the Bhaktas, devotees, are better than those of the Gyanis and Yogis. The mystic Yogis simply try to control the senses by practicing the 8 divisions of yoga. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, etc. And the Gyanis tried by mental reasoning to understand that sense enjoyment is false. But the easiest and most direct process is to engage the senses in the service of the Lord. The purpose of all yoga is to detach one's sense activities from this material world. The final aims, however, are different. Gyanis want to become one with the Brahman effulgence. Yogis wish to realize Paramatma, and devotees want to develop Krishna consciousness and transcendental loving service to the Lord. That loving service is the perfect stage of sense control. The senses are actually active symptoms of life and they cannot be stopped. They can be detached only if there is superior engagement. As it is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Param Drishtva Nivartate. The activities of the senses can be stopped if they are given superior arrangements. The supreme engagement is engagement of the senses in the service of the Lord. That is the purpose of all yoga.
So detachment is the common requirement for all yoga practitioners. Otherwise, yoga is not possible. Yogis misunderstand that Gyan Marg, Yoga Marg, Bhakti Marg has equal quality of detachment and knowledge. In Gyan Marg and Yoga Marg, there is also detachment, but they have not developed higher taste. Therefore, Bhakti Yoga detachment is concrete because of the higher taste. Example is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, about Kashyapa Muni and Haridas Thakur. So, Kashyapa Muni advised his wife Diti to not indulge in sexual relationship. But he did not have strength to say no to the sexual attraction of Diti, even though Kashyapa had knowledge that this is wrong. Haridas Thakur, on the other hand, was able to overcome the allurement of a prostitute in the middle of night due to strong Krishna conscious sadhana. So personalists have strong sense of control, means Haridas Thakur example, as compared to impersonalists. So Kashyapa is the example for this. Next, Lord Kapila explains that those who are averse to transcendence think everything is false. But this is not true. Rather, the correct understanding is that everything rests on the Lord. Preeti, 28-29 translations are straightforward.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Translation by Divine Guru Srila Prabhupada. Those who are averse to the transcendence realize the supreme absolute truth differently through the speculative sense perception, and therefore, because of mistaken speculation, everything appears to them to be relative. Text 29. From the total energy, the Mahatattva, I have manifested the false ego, the 3 modes of material nature, the 5 material elements, the individual consciousness, the 11 senses, and the material body. Similarly, the entire universe has come from the Supreme Personality of God.
Pretty straightforward verses. And so Lord Kapila is talking about jnana, and now the question comes that how to attain knowledge? And the answer is by doing devotional services. Mother Jija, 30-31 translations are again straightforward.
Text 30. Translation. This perfect knowledge can be achieved by a person who is already engaged in devotional service with faith, steadiness, and full detachment, and who is always absorbed in thought of the Supreme. He is aloof from material association. Text 31. My dear respectful mother, I have already described the path of understanding the absolute truth by which one can come to understand the real truth of matter and spirit and their relationship. Hare Krishna.
Pretty straightforward about Jnana. Questions, comments, realizations on this part? Okay, part 7 of chapter 32 is verses 32 to 36. Title is Various Paths Ultimately to Realize Bhagavan. Dipanshu Prabhu, 32 translation.
Hare Krishna. Philosophical research culminates in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After achieving this understanding, when one becomes free from material modes of nature, he attains the stage of devotional service. Either by devotional service directly or by philosophical research, one has to find the same destination, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So either by bhakti or by jnana, one has to find the same destination of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But we know that jnanis attain Brahman effulgence and not Bhagwan realization. Then how is the verse saying that the destination of bhakta and that of jnani are the same? The answer is that the same Lord appears differently and is explained with an analogy of how milk appears different. When we see milk, it is white. When we taste milk, it is palatable. When we touch milk, it is cold. When we smell milk, it is aromatic. When we hear about milk, we understand that this is milk. But when one tastes the milk, that's when one can best appreciate milk with tongue and not by eyes, nostrils, ears, etc. Similarly, one approaches Lord by different means. Some by mental speculation approach is Brahman effulgence. Some by mystic yoga realize him as Paramatma. But by bhakti yoga, one can see him face to face as Bhagwan. Thus, Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate destination of all processes. But depending on particular process one follows, one reaches a particular aspect of the Lord. Bhagwan realization by bhakti also includes Brahman effulgence and Paramatma realizations. Therefore, bhakti is the best path to realize the highest Bhagwan realizations. Questions, comments, realizations? Uncle will read verse 33 translation and paragraph 1 and 2 in purport.
Hare Krishna. Verse 33. A single object is appreciated differently by different senses due to its having different qualities. Similarly, The Supreme Personality of Godhead is one, but according to different scriptural injunctions, he appears to be different. Purport. It appears that by following the path of Jnana Yoga or empirical philosophical speculation, one reaches the impersonal Brahman, which by executing devotional service in Krishna consciousness, one enriches his faith in and devotion to the personality of Godhead. But it is stated here that both Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga are meant for reaching the same destination, the personality of Godhead. By the process of Jnana Yoga, sorry, the same personality of Godhead appears to be impersonal, as the same object appears to be different when perceived by different senses. The same Supreme Lord appears to be impersonal by mental speculation. A hill appears cloudy from a distance, and one who does not know know may speculate that the hill is a cloud. Actually, it is not. It is not a cloud. It is a big hill. One has to learn from authority that the sight of a cloud is not actually a cloud, but a hill. If one makes a little more progress, then instead of cloud, he sees the hill and something green. When one actually approaches the hill, he will see many varieties. Another example is perceiving milk. When we see milk, we see that it is white. When we taste, it appears that milk is very palatable. When we touch milk, it appears very cold. When we smell milk, it appears to have very good flavor. And when we hear, we understand that it is called milk. Perceiving milk with the different senses, we say that it is something white, something very delicious, something very aromatic, and so on. Actually, it is milk. Similarly, those who are trying to find the Supreme Godhead by mental speculation may approach the bodily effulgence or the impersonal Brahman. And those who are trying to find the Supreme Godhead by yoga practice may find him as the localized supersoul. But those who are directly trying to approach the Supreme Truth by practice of Bhakti Yoga can see him face to face as the Supreme Person. Ultimately, this Supreme Person is the destination of all different processes. The fortunate person who is by following the principles of scriptures becomes completely purified of all material contamination, surrenders into the Supreme Lord as everything. Just one can appreciate the real taste of milk with the tongue and not with the eyes, nostrils, or ears. One can similarly appreciate the absolute truth perfectly and with all relishable pleasure only through one path, devotional service. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Bhaktiyama Abhijnanati. If one wants to understand the absolute truth in perfection, he must take to devotional service. Of course, no one can understand the absolute truth in all perfection. That is not possible for the infinitesimal living entities. But the highest point of understanding by the living entity is reached by discharge of devotional service, not otherwise. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Questions, comments, realizations. We first discussed the analogies and we read through the analogies also.
Bhakti Yoga is the key core factor in all these things. That is my realization
Yes,
with
you are
100%
correct.
faith.
Yeah, you are correct that the entire Srimad Bhagavatam from the start to end repeats after repeats the statement that Bhakti Yoga is the easiest sadhana and which grants you the highest sadhya.
Prabhuji, having gone through so many classes, my realization as of today, that I used to perceive that you should do a lot of yoga, you should do a lot of sacrifices, you should donate charity, all those things. But now I all the more I am a realized person. As far as Bhakti Yoga is the key factor, we will not be bereft of all those benefits if we continue to uh, have a devotional service in Bhakti Yoga. That is my realization.
Yeah, absolutely correct, Krishna. I said this many places, as well as in chapter 11 Bhagavad Gita, verses 53 and 54 and 55. Uncle, you want to read Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, 53, 54, 55?
I will
Translation.
do it. Bhagavad Gita chapter 53, 54.
Chapter
In
11.
chapter 11. Yes, I got it. Hare Krishna. Text 53. The form you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, not by undergoing serious penances, not by charity, nor by worship. It is not by the means that one can see me as I am. Text 54. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am standing before you and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. Hare Krishna.
55 as well.
Text 55. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. Hare Krishna.
Okay, and
Thank
the
you,
same
Prabhuji.
point is also explained in Bhagavad Gita 18.55, Bhaktyamam Abhijanati. Uncle, you want to read 18.55 translation?
I'll do that. Chapter 1855. Am I right, Prabhuji?
Correct.
Chapters 18. Hare Krishna. Text 55. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Hare Krishna.
So
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, what Uncle was saying is direct verses for those statements. Very good. Questions, comments, realizations? Okay. So now chapter 32, part 8 is verses 37 to 43. Qualifications to receive this knowledge. Sorry, we have missed to read verses 34 to 36. We'll first read 34 to 36 and then we'll come to part 8. Mother Chandra Aunty, 34 to 36 translations.
Hare Krishna. 34 to 36. By performing fruitive activities and sacrifices, by distributing charity, by performing austerities, by studying various literatures, by conducting philosophical research, by controlling the mind, by subduing the senses by accepting the renounced order of life, and by performing the prescribed duty of one's social order, by performing the different divisions of yoga practice, by performing devotional service, and by exhibiting the process of devotional service containing the symptoms of both attachment and detachment, by understanding the signs of self-realization, and by developing the strong sense of detachment. One who is expert in understanding the different process of self-realization realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is represented in the material world as well as in the transcendence.
Okay. So now part A, it is verses 37 to 43. Title is Qualification to Receive This Knowledge. Verse 37, 38 are straightforward. Shivangi, 37, 38.
My dear mother, I have explained to you the process of devotional service and its identity in 4 different social divisions. I have explained to you as well how eternal time is chasing the living entities, although it is imperceptible to them. There are varieties of material existence for the living entity according to the work he performs in ignorance or forgetfulness of his real identity. My dear mother, if anyone enters into that forgetfulness, he is unable to understand where his movements will end.
Lord Kapila is just saying that he has answered Devahuti's question number 5, 6, and 7. So Lord Kapila states that this knowledge is not meant for envious, agnostics, unclean in behavior, and those who are proud. Mother Jija, 39 and 40 translations.
Text 39. Lord Kapila continued, this instruction is not meant for the envious, for the agnostics, and for persons who are unclean in their behavior, nor is it for hypocrites or for persons who are proud of material possessions. Text 40 translation. It is not to be instructed to persons who are too greedy and too attached to family life, nor to persons who are non-devotees and who are envious of devotees and of the personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Dipanshu Prabhu has a question.
Yes, Prabhuji, I have a question regarding this verse. Initially, everyone is a non-devotee, and what about devotees preaching to like hippies? As it is mentioned, that this should not be instructed to non-devotee.
So it is correct that we should not be preaching, and we have discussed this in Bhagavad Gita 18.67 also, where Krishna says a similar point, that don't preach this most confidential knowledge to non-devotees. So the question becomes that if you read this 39 and 40 here in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 32, is very much similar to Bhagavad Gita 18.67. Dipanshu Prabhu, if you want to read 18.67 translation, Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, Prabhuji. This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotion service, nor to one who is envious of me. Okay.
Right,
So
it's very much
confidential knowledge.
similar. So what we have discussed in 18.67, what Krishna is saying is that at the start, you can speak basic spiritual topics like you are not this body, you are soul, about karma, about suffering, about Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But the most confidential information that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, is Ras Leela, all these advanced topics that should not be spoken to ordinary materialistic people, because not only they will not understand, they will actually misunderstand that what kind of God is this Krishna? And the example given is that the parent has some precious jewels, and the parent has children who will receive this as inheritance. But the children are not grown, they are childish. They will end up wasting these precious jewels. So the parent does not disclose these precious jewels, etc., to the children unless the children are grown up. And then one of the child is mature enough and is grown up. So the parent will explain these precious jewels which are hidden from everybody, and he will give it to this grown up child and say later when the rest of the siblings are also grown up, then you can share. So the idea is not to restrict, but the idea is that let the children first grow up. Similarly, all these materialistic people, they are exactly like children who are not grown up and they are just wasting their human life. If you go and tell to materialistic people that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead and that one should surrender only to Krishna, and they will go, what? Why? Why do I have to surrender only to Krishna? Who is this Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna? I don't want to surrender to him. So we start with basics. So materialistic people, even at the temple when they come, we start by basic preaching, not advanced subject matter. Just as in a school. In kindergarten, the student is not taught high-level calculus on day one. No, they're taught basics, calculations, and then little by little as they grow, the advanced subjects are introduced. Deepanshu Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Okay. Verse number 40 is going to be your spiritual endeavor. I will briefly describe. In the purport, Prabhupada describes a laundry list of people, of those who cannot understand Krishna consciousness. So persons who are always planning to do harm to others, to other living entities, they are not eligible to understand Krishna consciousness and cannot enter into the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So-called disciples who become submissive to spiritual master most artificially with an ulterior motive also cannot understand Krishna consciousness or devotional service. Persons initiated by another set of religious faith, they do not find devotional service as the common platform for approaching Supreme Lord. Such persons cannot understand Krishna consciousness. Students biased to some particular type of faith, they leave Krishna consciousness very soon and they are lost in wilderness. If someone takes to Krishna consciousness for gaining name, fame, and material gain, he will never be able to understand this philosophy. Even if one is not greedy for material possessions, but is too attached to family life, wife, children, opulences, he also cannot understand Krishna consciousness. If a person is not contaminated by all these above mentioned faults, yet he is not interested in service of Supreme Lord, or if he is non-devotee, he also cannot understand Krishna conscious philosophy. Therefore, it is better to not instruct the science of Krishna consciousness to such persons. So you will read all this in the purports, and you will realize more on those. So then Lord Kapila explains that these teachings should be given to faithful devotees who are respectful, non-envious, friendly to all jivas, eager for devotional service, etc. Plus the falashruti of hearing and discussing these topics are also described in the last 3 verses. Dipanshu Prabhu, 41 to 43 translations.
Instruction should be given to the faithful devotees who is respectful to the spiritual master, non-envious, friendly to all kinds of living entities, and eager to render service with faith and sincerity. Text 42. This instruction should be imparted by the spiritual master to persons who have taken the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be more dear than anything, who are not envious of anyone, who are perfectly cleansed, and who have developed detachment for that which is outside the purview of Krishna consciousness. Text 43. Anyone who once meditates upon me with faith and affection, who hears and chants about me, surely goes back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Questions, comments, realizations on this chapter 32.
Chapter 32 ends with the qualifications to whom this knowledge to be disseminated and to whom not to be disseminated till such time they grow up. The example is the parent giving the jewels and the value of it, which is taught in the grown-up child. I realized probably.
Okay, very good. So because we all have been discussing, there is some chance for all of us to also get purified and get elevated. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd canto, that is 2nd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Entanglement in Fruitive Activities. We'll discuss chapter 33. It's a very straightforward chapter. This last chapter in Canto 3, chapter 33, is titled Activities of Lord Kapila and is divided into 5 parts. Part 1, verses 1 to 8, Devahuti's prayers. Part 2, verses 9 to 12, Lord Kapila gave final instructions to Devahuti and left. Part 3, verses 13 to 32, Devahuti achieved perfection. Part 4, verses 33 to 35, Activities of Lord Kapila. Part 5, verses 36 to 37, Falashruti. So as I said, most of the verses in this chapter 33 are very straightforward. Will take about less than 30 minutes to complete this chapter. So after hearing the teachings of Lord Kapila, Devahuti offers her prayers. Then Lord Kapila gives his final instructions to Devahuti and departs. Devahuti follows the instructions and perfects her life. Verse number 1 describes that Devahuti achieved Jivan Mukti, meaning liberation, even while staying in the material body. Devahuti became freed from all ignorance concerning devotional service and gained transcendental knowledge, and she therefore satisfied the Lord by offering obeisances. Preeti, verse number 1, translation and purport.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Translation, text 1. Sri Maitreya said, thus Devuti, the mother of Lord Kapila and the wife of Kardam Muni, became freed from all ignorance concerning devotional service and transcendental knowledge. She offered obeisances unto the Lord, the author of the basic principles of the Sankhya system of philosophy, which is the background of liberation, and she satisfied him with the following verses of prayers. Purport. The system of philosophy enunciated by Lord Kapil before his mother is the background for situation on the spiritual platform. The specific significance of the system of philosophy is stated herein as Siddhi Bhumim. It is the background of salvation. People who are suffering in this material world because they are conditioned by the material energy can easily get freedom from the clutches of matter by understanding the Sankhya philosophy enunciated by Lord Kapila. By the system of philosophy, one can immediately become free even though one is situated in this material world. That stage is called Jivan Mukti. This means that one is liberated even though one stays within his material body. That happened for Devoti, the mother of Lord Kapila, and she therefore satisfied the Lord by offering her prayers. Anyone who understands this basic principle of Sankhya philosophy is elevated in the devotional service and is basic principle of Sankhya is elevated in the devotional service and becomes fully Krishna conscious or liberated even within this material world. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Now, verse number 2 describes that Devahuti is astonished that the Lord appeared in her womb. Dipanshu Prabhu, verse number 2, translation and purport.
Hare Krishna. Devahuti said, Brahma is said to be unborn because he takes birth from the lotus flower which grows from your abdomen. Sorry. While you lie in the ocean at the bottom of the universe. But even Brahma simply meditated upon you, whose body is the source of unlimited universes. Purport also, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Brahma is also named Aja, he who is unborn. Whenever we think of someone's birth, there must be a material father and mother, for thus one is born. But Brahma, being the first living creature within this universe, was born directly from the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as Garbhodaksha Vishnu, the Vishnu form lying down in the ocean at the bottom of the universe. Devahuti wanted to impress upon the Lord that when Brahma wants to see him, he has to meditate upon him. You are the seed of all creation, she said. Although Brahma was directly born from you, he still has to perform many years of meditation, and even then he cannot see you directly face to face. Your body is lying within the vast water at the bottom of the universe, and thus you are known as Garbhodaksha Vishnu. The nature of the Lord's gigantic body is also explained in this verse. That body is transcendental, untouched by matter. Since the material manifestation has come from his body therefore existed before the material creation. The conclusion is that the transcendental body of Vishnu is not made of material elements. The body of Vishnu is the source of all other living entities, as well as the material nature, which is also supposed to be the energy of that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Devotee said, "You are the background of material manifestation and all created energy. Therefore, you're delivering me from the clutches of Maya by explaining the system of Sankhya philosophy is not so astonishing. But your being born from my abdomen is certainly wonderful because, although you are the source of all creation, you have so kindly taken birth as my child. This is most wonderful. Your body is the source of all the universe, and still you put your body within the abdomen of a common woman like me. To me, that is most astonishing." Hare Krishna.
So Lord appearing from Devahuti's womb is most astonishing to Devahuti because Lord's body is the source of universe and creation, all living entities. Yet the Lord put his body within the womb of Devahuti. The Lord delivering Devahuti from clutches of Maya by explaining the Sankhya philosophy is not astonishing for Devahuti, as the Lord is the background for material manifestation and created energy. Questions, comments, realizations? Mother Chandra Aunty, verse 3 and 4 translations are straightforward.
Text 3. My dear Lord, although personally you have nothing to do, you have distributed your energy in the interaction of the material modes of nature, and for that reason, the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation that takes place. My dear Lord, you are self-determined and are a supreme personality of Godhead for all living entity. For them, you created this material manifestation, and although you are one, your device energies can act multifaciously. This is inconceivable to us. Text 4. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you have taken birth from my abdomen. O my Lord, how is that possible for the Supreme One who has in his belly all the cosmic manifestation? The answer is that it is possible for at the end of millennium, you lie down on a leaf of a banyan tree, and just like a small baby, you lick the toe of your lotus feet. Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Pretty straightforward. And the next verses glorify chanting of the holy name. Uncle will read verses 6 to 8 translations are again straightforward. Unmute.
Prabhuji, what about 5? Prabhuji?
Yeah, read 5 to 8 translation. Sorry, my mistake.
Hare Krishna. Verse 5. My dear Lord, you have assumed this body in order to diminish the sinful activities of the fallen and to enrich their knowledge in devotion and liberation. Since these sinful people are dependent on your direction, by your own will, you assume incarnations as above and as other forms. Similarly, you have appeared in order to distribute transcendental knowledge to your dependents. Verse 6. To say nothing of the spiritual advancement of persons who see the Supreme Person face to face, even a person born in a family of dog eaters immediately becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices if he once utters the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or chants about him, hears about his pastimes, offers him obeisance, or even remembers him. Verse 7. Oh, how glorious are those whose tongues are chanting your holy name. Even if born in the families of dog eaters, such persons are worshipable. Persons who chant the holy name of your Lordship must have executed all kinds of austerities and fire sacrifices and achieved all the good manners of the Aryans. To be chanting the holy name of your Lordship, they must have bathed at holy places of pilgrimage, studied the Vedas, and fulfilled everything required. Verse 8. I believe, my Lord, that you are Lord Vishnu himself under the name of Kapila. And you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Brahman. The saints and the sages, being freed from all the disturbances of the senses and mind, meditate upon you. For you are for by your mercy only can one become free from the clutches of the three modes of material nature. At the time of dissolution, all the Vedas are sustained in you only. Hare Krishna.
Okay, pretty straightforward prayers of Devahuti. Any questions, comments, realizations? Okay, part 2 is verses 9 to 12. Title is Lord Kapila gave final instructions to Devahuti and left. Mother Jija, verses 9 to 12 translations.
Text 9, translation. Thus the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila, satisfied by the words of his mother, towards whom he was very affectionate, replied with gravity. Text 10. The Personality of Godhead said, My dear mother, the path of self-realization, which I have already instructed to you, is very easy. You can execute this system without difficulty, and by following it, you shall very soon be liberated, even within your present body. Text 11. Translation. My dear mother, those who are actually transcendentalists certainly follow my instructions as I have given them to you. You may rest assured that if you traverse this path of self-realization perfectly, surely you shall be freed from fearful material contamination and shall ultimately reach me. Mother, persons who are not conservant with this method of devotional service certainly cannot get out of the cycle of birth and death. Text 12. So Maitreya said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Kapila, after instructing his beloved mother, took permission from her and left his home, his mission having been fulfilled. Hare Krishna.
So the question is, why did Lord Kapila leave home? The answer is, the mission of the appearance of Supreme Personality of Godhead as Lord Kapila was to distribute transcendental knowledge of Sankhya philosophy. And having imparted this knowledge to his mother Devahuti and through his mother to rest of the world, hence Lord Kapila had no more need to stay at home. So he took permission from his mother and left for spiritual realization, although he had nothing to be realized spiritually because he is the person to be spiritually realized. But so that others can learn, This is an example set by Supreme Personality of Godhead while acting like an ordinary human being. That it is best to stay as a brahmachari or sannyasi or vanaprastha to cultivate Krishna consciousness throughout one's whole life. Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, go ahead, please.
Prabhuji, I have a question here. As you just now said that it is best to remain alone as brahmachari, sannyasi or vanprastha to cultivate Krishna consciousness. But Prabhuji, in previous chapters, we've also read that the grahast can also achieve Krishna consciousness easily.
Yeah, you are correct. So, grahastha who lives as a grahastha, not as a graha maybe, but who lives as a grahastha means he is not attached to family, opulences, etc. Then he is a sannyasi living in a grahastha body. One of my favorite lectures of Srila Prabhupada is titled How to Find a Grahastha Sannyasi. Now, Grahastha and Sannyasi are opposite ashrams. So how can a Grahastha be a sannyasi? Basically, Prabhupada explains that as long as you are not attached to your family, to the opulences, then even living with family, you are a sannyasi because you are focused on Krishna consciousness. You are using all your opulences also, all your family members also in Krishna's service. So you are basically a sannyasi that way. And we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, verse number 6, the Mithyachar words, that if somebody is not purified and takes sannyas prematurely, so even though he is having a orange dress and maybe he is in a forest in this so-called sannyasi life, but he is still living with 6 wives, with the senses and the mind, and he is still generating bad karma simply by contemplation. So it is not that the ashrams alone, but how you live in the ashram is important to determine. Preeti?
Yes, Prabhu, I got it. Thank you.
Very good. So part 3 is verses 13 to 32. Devahuti achieved perfection. Preeti will read verses 13 to 19, are pretty straightforward, and Preeti very good of remembering what we have discussed earlier also.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes. Hare Krishna, text 13. Translation. As instructed by her son, Devahuti also began to practice Bhakti Yoga in that very ashram. She practiced Samadhi in the house of Kardam Muni, which was so beautifully decorated with flowers. That was considered the flower crown of the river Saraswati. Text 14. She began to bathe 3 times daily, and thus her curling hair, black hair, gradually became grey. Due to austerity, her body gradually became thin, and she wore old garments. Text 15. The home and the household paraphernalia of Kardam, who was one of the Prajapatis, was developed in such a way by dint of the mystic powers of the austerity and yoga, that his opulence was sometimes envied by those who travel in outer space in airplanes. Text 16. The opulence of the household of Kardamna Muni is described here. The bed sheets and the mattresses were all as white as the foam of milk, and the chairs and the benches were made of ivory and were covered by cloths of lace with golden filigree, and the couches were made of gold and had very soft pillows. Text 17. The walls of the houses were made of first-class marble, decorated with valuable jewels. There was no need of light, for the household was illuminated by the rays of these jewels. The female members of the household were all amply decorated with jewelry. Text 18. The compound of the main household was surrounded by beautiful gardens with sweet fragrant flowers, and many trees which produced fresh fruit and were tall and beautiful. The attraction of such gardens was that singing birds would sit on the trees, and the chanting voices, as well as the humming sounds of the bees, made the whole atmosphere as pleasing as possible. Text 19. When Devuti would enter the lovely garden to take her bath in the pond filled with lotus flowers, the associates of the denizens of the heaven, the Gandharvas, would sing about Kardam glories, household life. Her great husband, Kardam, gave her all protection all times, at all times. Hare.
Okay, pretty straightforward verses that Devahuti achieved perfection, although she was in the middle of some opulences, but it didn't bother her at all. So Devahuti was attached to her son. And what is the principle behind this? We'll understand. So generally, when somebody is attached to someone, it kind of creates bondage. So how do you understand this, that Devahuti was attached to her son? Dipanshu Prabhu, 20 to 23 translations and purports.
When Devhuti would enter that lovely garden to take her bath in the pond filled with lotus flowers,
20 to 23.
although her position was unique from all points of view, saintly Devhuti, in spite of all her possessions, which were envied even by the ladies of heavenly planets, gave up all such comforts. She was only sorry that her great son was separated from her. Text 21.
Purports,
Devhuti,
all purports also.
but Devhuti was not at all sorry at giving up her material comforts, but she was very much aggrieved at the separation of her son. It may be questioned here that if Devhuti was not at all sorry to give up the material comforts of life, then why was she sorry about losing her son? Why was she so attached to her son? The answer is explained in the next verse. He was not an ordinary son. Her son was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can give up the material attachment, therefore, only when one has attachment for Supreme Person. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita, Param Drishtva Nivartate. Only when one actually has some taste for spiritual existence can be reluctant to follow the materialistic way of life. Text 21. Just a second. Devotee's husband had already felt home and accepted the renounced order of life. And then her only son Kapila left home. Although she knew all the truths of life and death, and although her heart was cleansed of all dirt, she was very aggrieved at the loss of her son, just as a cow is affected when her calf dies. Purport: a woman whose husband is away from home or has taken the renounced order of life should not be very sorry, because she still has the presence of her husband's representative, her son. It is said in the Vedic scriptures, Atmaeva Putro Jayate. The husband's body is represented by the son. Strictly speaking, a woman is never widowed if she has a grown son. Devoti was not very much affected while Kapila Muni was there, but upon his departure she was very afflicted. She grieved not because of her worldly relationships with Kardam Muni, but because of her sincere love for the personality of Godhead. The example given here is that Devoti became just like a cow who has lost her calf. A cow bereft of her calf cries day and night. Similarly, Devoti was aggrieved, and she always cried and requested her friends and relatives, please bring my son home so that I may live. Otherwise, I shall die. This intense affection for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although manifested as affection for one's son, is spiritually beneficial. Attachment for a material son obliges one to remain in material existence, but the same attachment, when transferred to the Supreme Lord, brings one elevation to the spiritual world in the association of the Lord. Every woman can qualify herself as much as devotee and then can also have the Supreme Godhead as her son. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead can appear as the son of Devotee, he can also appear as the son of any other woman, provided that woman is qualified. If one gets the Supreme Lord as a son, one can have the benefit of bringing up a nice son in this world and at the same time get promotion to the spiritual world to become the face-to-face associate of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 22 as well, Prabhuji.
Yeah, 22, 23 translations.
My internet is slow, so it's taking some time to load. Okay. O Vidura, thus always meditating upon her son, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila Dev, she very soon became unattached to her nicely decorated home. Purport. Here is a practical example of how one can elevate oneself in spiritual advancement by Krishna consciousness. Kapila Dev is Krishna and he appeared as the son of Devavati. After Kapil Dev left home, Devavati was absorbed in thought of him and thus she was always Krishna conscious. Her constant situation in Krishna consciousness enabled her to be detached from hearth and home. Unless we are able to transfer our attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no possibility of becoming freed from material attachment. The Srimad Bhagavatam therefore confirms that it is not possible for one to become liberated by cultivation of empiric philosophical speculation. Simply knowing that one is not matter but spirit, soul, or Brahman does not purify one's intelligence. Even if the impersonalist reaches the highest platform of spiritual realization, he falls down again to material attachment because of not being situated in a transcendental loving service of the Lord. The devotee adopts a devotional process, hearing about the Supreme Lord's pastime and glorifying his activities, and thereby always remembering his beautiful eternal form. By rendering service, becoming his friend and his servant, and offering him everything that one possesses, one is able to enter into the kingdom of the God. As it is said in Bhagavad Gita, Tato Mam Tattvato Gyatva. After discharging pure devotional service, one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In fact, and thus one becomes eligible to enter into his association in one of the spiritual planets. Text 23. Thereafter, having heard with great eagerness and in all detail from her son, Kapil Dev, the eternally smiling personality of Godhead, Devavati began to meditate constantly upon the Vishnu form of the Supreme Lord.
Okay, so what are the general principles drawn from Devahuti's attachment for her son? So Devahuti's son is not an ordinary son, but Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can give up material attachment only when one has attachment for the Supreme Person. Therefore, Devotee was not at all sorry at giving up material comforts, but Devotee was very much aggrieved at the separation of her son. Devotee grieved because her sincere love for Supreme Personality of Godhead, and this is spiritually beneficial. Attachment for material son obliges one to remain in material existence, but the same attachment, when transferred to Supreme Personality of Godhead, elevates one to the spiritual world in association of the Lord. Thus, always meditating upon her son, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Devahuti very soon became unattached to her nicely decorated home. The next set of verses describes Devahuti achieved perfection, and they are all straightforward from 24 to 32. Shivangi, 24 to 32 translations.
She did so with serious engagement in devotional service. Because she was strong in renunciation, she accepted only the necessities of the body. She became situated in knowledge due to realization of the absolute truth. Her heart became purified. She became fully absorbed in meditation upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all misgivings due to the modes of material nature disappeared. Her mind became completely engaged in the Supreme Lord, and she automatically realized the knowledge of the impersonal Brahman. As a Brahman-realized soul, she was freed from the designations of the materialistic concept of life. Thus all material pangs disappeared, and she attained transcendental bliss. Situated in eternal trance and freed from illusion impelled by the modes of material nature, she forgot her material body just as one forgets his different bodies in a dream. Her body was being taken care of by the spiritual damsels created by her husband Kaddama, and since she had no mental anxiety at that time, her body did not become thin. She appeared just like a fire surrounded by smoke. Because she was always absorbed in the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, she was not aware that her hair was loosened or her garments were disarrayed. My dear Vidura, by following the principles instructed by Kapila, Devahuti soon became liberated from material bondage and achieved the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a super soul, without difficulty. The place where Devahuti achieved her perfection, my dear Vidura, is understood to be a most sacred spot. It is known all over the three worlds as Siddhapada. Dear Vidura, the material elements of her body have melted into water and are now flowing river, which is the most sacred of all rivers. Anyone who bathes in that river also attains perfection, and therefore all persons who desire perfection go bathe there.
So what did Devahuti achieve? So there are innumerable Vaikuntha planets predominated by expansions of Vishnu. There is also a Vaikuntha planet which is known as Kapila Vaikuntha, to which Devahuti was promoted to meet Lord Kapila and reside there eternally, enjoying the company of her transcendental son. Part 4 is verses 33 to 35, activities of Lord Kapila. Mother Jija, 33 to 35 translations are again straightforward.
Text 33. My dear Vidura, the great sage Kapila, the personality of Godhead, left his father's hermitage with the permission of his mother and went towards the northeast. Text 34. While he was passing in the northern direction, all the celestial denizens known as Karanas and Gandharvas, as well as the Munis and the damsels of the heavenly planets, prayed and offered him all respects. The ocean offered him oblations and a place of residence. Text 35, translation. Even now, Kapila Muni is staying there in trance for the deliverance of the conditioned souls in the three worlds, and all the acharyas and great teachers of the system of Sankhya philosophy are worshipping him. Text
So
36,
verse number,
translation.
hold on. So part 5 is verse number 36 and 37, which is the Phala Shruti. Uncle will read 36 and 37 translation.
Hare Krishna. Verse number 36. Translation. My dear son, since you have inquired from me, I have answered, O sinless one. The descriptions of Kapila and his mother and their activities are the purest of all pure discourses. 37. The description of the dealings of Kapila and his mother is very confidential. And anyone who hears or reads this narration becomes a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is carried by Garuda, and he thereafter enters into the abode of the Supreme Lord to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Again, there is some chance for all of us, since we are reading and discussing these pastimes of the Lord. Any questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhuji, what is this? Could you elaborate? Siddhapada, the sacred place where a devotee remained in the ashram.
It's just a place. It's known as Siddhapada. It's just a place.
So, Prabhuji, this
So
place
in
is
the
still there. We can go and visit, take darshan of this place now.
Which place you saying?
Siddhapada.
Yeah, you can.
the conclusion is sinless descriptions of Kapil Deva and his mother, the purest of all pure devotees. This is my realization.
Yeah, very good. Correct realization. Shivangi?
Prabhuji, did Lord Kapila ever get married, or is he always a sannyasi?
There is no mention anywhere in the scriptures beyond this. So here in this Canto 3 is the last description that he left home and remained as a sannyasi. So there's no further mention. So we don't know what happened after this. But based on what he was describing, why would he get married? If he had married, then definitely would be something for learning for us and would have been included in the scriptures. But there's no mention about this at all.
So does that mean even the Kapila Vaikunta planet, he's still like a sannyasi?
So Lord is eternal, right? So he has so many incarnations to fulfill and satisfy his various desires. So there's no mention of what he is and what he did beyond this point. So we cannot speculate. We can only go what is there in the scriptures.
So, Prabhuji, the Kardama Muni is still alive?
So Kardama Muni achieved perfection. We read in the previous chapter that he achieved perfection. When he left home, he achieved perfection even before this. And now Devahuti also achieved perfection. So Kardama Muni had already achieved perfection before and he went back home to Godhead.
No, Prabhuji, they say he is still alive. The Muni is still alive.
That he's talking about Kapila. Here he's talking about Kapila.
Kapila. Okay.
Yeah, Kapila Dev is Krishna himself. He doesn't die ever, right?
Yeah. Okay. No, I thought Kardama Muni.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. But I explained both parts that Kardama Muni already achieved perfection before few chapters we read that part, and Kapila Dev, not Kapila, Kardama Muni went back home to Godhead. And here it's talking about Kapila Dev, that he is ever present and Acharyas of Sankhya philosophy are worshipping him. I may not have the eyes to see him, but Krishna is always present.
Okay.
Shivangi, you further have question or your hand is just up from before?
Yeah, one more question. Are there any temples where it's just Lord Kapila, like in the Murti, like we see Lord Narasimha and Shri Gauranatai?
There probably is. I don't know myself, but there probably is. And again, understand that depends on the rasa. So somebody has a rasa for Kapila Dev, he will know more details about Kapila Dev. We all have rasa for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna. Therefore, we know about them. But where it says, we just read in the verses that at certain place, Lord Kapila is still present and acharyas are worshipping. So probably is there. I personally do not know where exactly you have a temple for him, but probably exist.
Okay, thank you.
Prabhuji, this word Palashruti is a verse in Hindu literature. I have never heard about this, but today I realized that it is the benefit of reading and listening to these texts, what we read in, particularly in chapter 33, the entire verses. Am I right, Prabhuji? Would you like to throw some light on that?
Yeah, you are correct. Phala means fruit, and it describes that both chapters 32 and chapter 33 ended with Phalashruti, that by hearing, reading, discussing these topics of Lord Kapila, we all have a chance to become a devotee, get elevated at some point of time. As long as we continue.
We intend to. We have been continuing since 3 years.
Yeah.
Despite various hospital visits and treatments and illness.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, so we just have to continue till the last moment of death. And that way Krishna will help us remember Krishna.
We will.
Very good.
Emphatic, we will.
Very good. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purports of the third canto, 33rd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Activities of Lord Kapila. And this is also the end of third canto. Let me give you some spiritual endeavor questions. Question number 1 is an analogy from Srimad Bhagavatam 3.32.34 to 36. A hungry man feels strength and satisfaction from eating. And at the same time, he gradually becomes detached from eating anymore. Similarly, with execution of devotional service, real knowledge develops. And one becomes detached from all material activities. Question number 2. Summarize who all cannot understand Krishna consciousness. So our next class is going to be the presentations by you all. I have on screen the Google Excel document for the presentation. So some of you have given me your names and I have populated your names. Rest of you, you can please let me know your names in terms of which presentation you want to do. So I have made the Google document as read only so that I don't have to go back again and again to make edits. So there are total 8 slots to present and you are 11 of you. So everyone can present by being a second presenter also. So you can choose whatever presentation you want and 2 devotees can do the same presentation. Again, doesn't matter. We are just hearing Krishna Katha. Everybody should present, even though there are only 8 slots. I can only divide the chapter accordingly. I cannot just make up 11 divisions because there is a flow in those sets of verses. So those who have not yet messaged me about what you plan to present, you can please do so as soon as is possible for you. So you all do have access to this Google document as a read only. By all means, you can view it and follow along. So next class is this unit presentation, and then from following class on will be the bigger presentations that you all will be doing. So at the start, as I say, that it's highly likely that next couple of weeks, we will not have classes for all batches. So, and I will inform you all as soon as I become aware. But you should anyway be prepared for the unit presentations, whether it happens next week or following week or the following week. You should be prepared for next week. If when the classes get cancelled, I will anyway send Prabhupada lectures for you all to listen to. Any questions, comments, realizations? We are just about 2 minutes away from our end time. We didn't really have time to discuss what I said at the start about from previous class, questions and realizations. Are we okay to stop here?
May I tell those 2 homeworks which you have given for us?
Yeah, go ahead.
Spiritual.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. The I can delay it. We just took me by surprise. Anyhow, he explained the difference between Nivritti and Pravritti. Nivritti Dharma, constantly detached act for the Supreme Personality of act only for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, engaged in devotional service and Krishna consciousness, never claiming proprietorship, no false ego, thinks of that he is God, only thinks himself as a servant. That is Nivritti. Pravritti is religious activities performed by the Grahamedis for elevation to higher planets, for economic prosperity, ultimately all for sense gratification. This is on Nivritti and Pravritti. The second question, he explained how a devotee, no question of agreeable or disagreeable. A devotee has no personal attachment Therefore, no question of agreeable or disagreement. For the service of the Lord, he accepts anything despite against his personal desire. Like Arjuna, we should set this as our goal. That is my realization, Prabhuji.
Okay, very good.
Prabhuji, can I also try out?
Yeah.
Question 1. Difference between pravati and nivritti dharma. Pravati dharma marg means sense enjoyment and nivritti marg means spiritual advancement. Pravati activities involves raising oneself from lower to higher condition of materialistic life. Whereas nivritti means the cessation of the material desires. Through pravati activities, one suffers from material entanglements, but by nivritti activities, one is purified and becomes fit to enjoy the eternal blissful life. Question 2. A devotee should accept those favorable things which please Krishna, which are favorable for devotional service, and which does not please Krishna should be rejected. Devotee should always embrace them wholeheartedly, and those which the devotee rejects should be kept aside. Sometimes, if a particular interest favors the devotee, but it is not favorable for devotional service, then the devotee will not accept it. And if something appears to be unfavorable to the devotee's personal interest, but it is favorable for the devotional service, then the devotee will accept it and embrace it. And this is how he identifies things and acts. Example is of the Kunti Maharani in Canto 1, Chapter 8, where she says, in text 25, she says that I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again, because then she will be able to see the lotus feet of the Lord again and again, and will not have to take repeated birth and death. So here, for an unconditioned soul to ask for such a boon is impossible, but for a devotee like Kunti Maharani, it is very favorable. Hare Krishna.
Okay, very good. Very good, all of you, for your super excellent continued endeavors. Are we okay to stop here?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Thank
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna, thank you.